TYT Sports talking boxing as always with our guy Robert Exel, the editor-in-chief of boxing.com. Robert, how are you today?
I'm good. And yourself, Rick?
Doing well. We had a huge weekend in the sport of boxing. Let's start with Sergio Martinez and Julio Cesar Chavez. The fight took place at the Thomas Mack Center, a sold-out, ramped-up crowd, mainly a pro-Mexican crowd. Before we get to the knockdown in the 12th round, talk to me a little bit about 1 through 11. Did you have it as a complete shutout for Sergio Martinez?
I don't think there was any other way to score it except as a complete shutout. I mean, Martinez clearly took Chavez to school. He had Chavez's number. He was landing his usual array of punches. He was dancing out of range constantly. Chavez could not let his hands go, or would not let his hands go, and basically got the stuffing beaten out of him.
Well, I mean, let me ask you this. You said that he couldn't or wouldn't let his hands go. It seemed like when he did, a la the 12th round, he started landing some punches. Now, did it take Sergio Martinez to get somewhat tired down the road, down the stretch of this fight, or was it just a bad game plan that he failed to execute?
Well, I think it was a couple of things. I mean, certainly Martinez had gotten tired. He hadn't stopped moving for 11 rounds. He's 37 years old. He's not a young man, and yet he performs. He boxes like a young man, but he did not stop moving for the first 11 rounds. Chavez's game plan, of which you spoke, I don't know what kind of game plan he had. I don't know that he's not a one-dimensional fighter, that his game plan is basically he fights as it is he fights. He doesn't seem to really change. He doesn't seem to have different gears to which he can turn. He's a come-forward fighter who definitely relies on his ability to cut off the ring, his ability to land heavy shots, hooks, body shots, and of course he wasn't able to do any of those things against Sergio Martinez.
How much does it wear on you as a fighter when you keep hitting the guy over and over and over, Martinez hitting Chavez Jr., and yet you can't knock him down, you can't phase him, and he keeps backing you up into a corner against the ropes? And as we saw in the 12th round, what happened when Chavez showed some offense, provided some offense, and backed him up against the ropes, he knocked Martinez down. So, I mean, how does that affect you mentally when you keep hitting the guy over and over and over, and yet he keeps backing you up?
Well, it affects you mentally a lot better than the alternative, which is to, instead of landing your shots through rounds 1 through 11, the alternative is to be hit. So in terms of what is going to affect one more mentally, it's easy if we can do the math. It affects one more mentally if one is being hit than if one is hitting. Yes, it perhaps was a little bit frustrating that Chavez did not go down, but it certainly was not frustrating to watch Chavez's features rearrange, to watch his face swell, to see the black and blue marks, to see the blood coming from his nose and his mouth. I mean, there's nothing frustrating about that. If success is frustrating, then it was frustrating, but I do not believe so.
Martinez is now 50-2, but he did have to survive a thrilling 12th round in which Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. landed 3 consecutive left hooks to Martinez. Again, backed him up against the ropes. Martinez went down again with well over 1 minute left in the round. He had to survive, and he did. What do you make of this 12th round, and could it possibly grab people's attention for a rematch?
Well, the 12th round was positively thrilling. The 12th round savaged what was a completely sort of boring and one-sided fight, a boxing clinic, which is fine if one wants a boxing clinic, but if one wants a competitive fight, the first 11 rounds were not going to provide it. So the 12th round provided it. It made what was essentially a fairly boring evening into a positively thrilling evening. In terms of a rematch, I mean, the drumbeat has already started. A rematch is in the cards. First, Martinez needs to have surgery. He broke his left hand in the 4th round and tore ligaments in his knee. So he not only fought brilliantly, but he fought injured. He will not be back in action until May, is what they're saying. But a rematch, as I say, the drumbeat has started. It's insistent, it's loud, and it's going to grow louder over time. Whether or not a rematch is justified under the circumstances is something that you and I can discuss. I have my doubts. I don't know that Chavez is going to improve dramatically between now and then. Sergio doesn't need to improve dramatically between now and then. I mean, he is the brilliant fighter that he is. Chavez, is he going to get more disciplined between now and then? Is he going to become a greater fighter between now and then? I'm not sure. Does he have a chance to beat Sergio Martinez if they fight again? I'm also not sure.
Chavez receives his first loss of his career and loses his WBC middleweight title. But what kind of confidence does this instill in Chavez Jr.? You know, it seems like that, as we have said previously in this segment, he failed to throw certain punches at times, even any punches at times. But what does this carryover have for him, possibly going into the rematch?
Well, it was a Pyrrhic victory, but it was not a victory. It was a victory of sorts. He showed that he could land his punch. He showed that he could throw his punch. He could show that he was able to knock down his opponent. So that's a Pyrrhic victory of sorts, but it was a loss of sorts. And it wasn't simply that he lost. It was simply that he had gotten beaten up. I don't know that Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. has ever been beaten up. He took a beating. And a beating on TV is simply a visual experience. A beating in the ring is a tactile experience. He felt the pain. And the pain was administered by Martinez, and it was administered effectively, and it was administered constantly. Completely
outboxed through 11 rounds. The 12th round, again, thrilling. If you have not seen it, I'll put a link in the description below so you guys can. Robert Exel, the editor-in-chief of Boxing.com. You can follow him on Twitter at boxing_com, and also follow his fantastic writing at www.boxing.com. Robert Exel, thank you so much for the time, and we'll talk to you again soon.
My pleasure, Rick.